bulk test based on an antigen testing format and combining this resulting low sensitivity with saliva testing. Because if you look at saliva, not only in the first week of symptoms in a clinical cohort, but if you just look at viral load, you will see that saliva contains considerably less virus. So it's not the best sample. I think an antigen test should be combined with a proper swab because it just contains more virus. And you need to go for ways to improve the sensitivity of antigen tests. So this is the plain lateral diffusion antigen tests. I think all the other formats around, including this LAMP CRISPR combination and so on, this is nice technology, but somebody has to obtain a license on it before the pandemic is over. And this is not likely to happen, at least not in Germany. So what I see is the simple antigen tests that have a sensitivity cutoff between, let's say, threshold cycle 25 and 30 in real-time PCR. That's about where the cutoff of these antigen tests is. Mm-hmm. These may be, let's say, cleared by authorities before Christmas, so they can be used at least in the hand of medical professionals. That's the situation in Germany. I know there are some commercial products coming up, including in Europe. But again, the question is supply. So is this just a nice product for having a trial kit, or can you get 10 million of these strips per month? So you will have them swimming in ditches in the street, used strips, instead of used masks that are now swimming in the ditches, right?
Well, Abbott recently came out with a relatively rapid test, lateral flow, $5 US. They claim they can make 50 million a month eventually within a few months, and 3M is also making paper strips, and so there's a big push here to really get those in everyone's hands. Yeah. Christian, in your opinion, do children transmit infection?
I think there is proof. The question is how relatively efficient they do this. I think the viral load data that are coming together now show that the viral load is just the same, is really equal. I'm not sure whether the susceptibility of children is really lower based on this, let's say, 10% difference of ACE2 expression. I'm a bit skeptical about that. There are other considerations, like they exhale less volume because of the smaller lungs and so on. But this has to be discounted against the behavior, right? They won't respect, let's say, distance rules and so on. So my son is 3. Horrible in this regard. But yeah. I can't really tell. I think we have to wait for a month. And I think there is a lot of evidence already that there is considerable rates of transmission, especially in, let's say, educational settings, even in care settings with younger children. I think this is going to become difficult.
So it would be interesting to be able to compare.
So you mentioned the idea of what will happen when we have a vaccine. Mm-hmm. What is going on with vaccines in Germany in terms of which vaccines you're looking at, or which vaccines may be approved or available at some point in Germany?
Well, I mean, it is similar as with the situation in other countries. We are making contracts. We are entering organizing first steps to also maybe participate in larger phase 3 trials. We have projects here where vaccines are being developed. We have basically 2 different types of RNA vaccines from Germany. There is one vector-based vaccine, an MVA-based vaccine that goes into phase 1 now, just the next few weeks. It's ready, and this has been quite successful for other targets, including MERS. Well, we have the same expectation. We don't expect a vaccine before the US elections. Well, we expect a vaccine before the next German elections, which will be autumn next year.
I'm curious about the MVA vaccine. If you know any details, is it just spike, or does it have other antigens in it as well?
No, spike. This is a spike-based vaccine.
Right.
So in fact, most of them are spike-based, as you know, and we always worry about that. It's made an assumption that that's all you need, right?
Well, maybe that's all you need to protect the lung, but you'll still have some replication in the nose. And again, a lot of discussion in the public about what this means, if this is still transmissible, and so on. I see this coming.
So, here in the U.S., we have more cases than anybody else. What did we do?
I don't think so, but you are aware of more cases than anybody else.
Yeah. That's right. The test results more so, right? You're absolutely right. So what did we do wrong?
I think you are not doing well. I mean, one could, of course, propose things that are not very popular, like you should go into another nationwide lockdown and then cool down a bit and then start over. But I don't think this is real. And I think there are things, of course, to pity, which is that the initial chance to discover the outbreak early based on diagnostics wasn't really taken and used. And I'm a bit surprised about how things went in Germany and how this still pays off, right? This is you could have been in the same in the US, definitely.
This is going to keep epidemiologists busy for decades after this, with all the data from different countries. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
I mean, as you mentioned, in the U.S. we've had a lot of denial, and it runs along political parties, unfortunately. So right now our administration is very much has always denied the existence and the extent of the problem, and certainly that is part of the reason why it gets out of control. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I mean the role of the public is an important role too. And I mean, I know the situation here is not as bad as in the US when it comes to public perception and
That's because in Germany they listen to you, apparently.
Well, it's we have Angela Merkel, whom people really listen to and who understands things. We were lucky about this early detection. This helps everybody, and we are now losing public trust, certainly. So it's now really like we have the same phenomenon that you.
So why are you losing public trust?
Well, because the disease is not existing. It's not there. And I mean, now what we see is the typical finding. We are now, even though the incidence goes up, the fatalities don't go up. There are no dead people. And so this actually prevents people who are not into the numbers and who who have no adherence to the principles of the whole phenomenon, who don't see the contingency of how how infections come about, how fatalities come about somewhat later, how fatality is expectably lower once you have students infected instead of inhabitants of care homes. If you don't make this connection, you lose the belief. You stop believing. You just see some numbers and some charts, and you think, what the hell is going on here? The economy is losing 10%, right?
So, Christian, there have been, I think, 2 reports now which are pretty reliable accounts of reinfections.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what is your view of immunity after infection? Does everyone make an immune response? Is it durable? Is it protective? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's the typical sloppy coronavirus immunity.
Oh, wow. Sloppy coronavirus immunity with Christian Drosten. I can see this is a show title. That's great.
Perfect.
Perfect. I like that.
So that's the approach with most of these clinical trials now, that they try to enroll rather healthy people early after diagnosis and then look for changes to the virological parameters first, rather than disease outcome.
I mean, ideally, we would like to have a drug like Tamiflu where you could get an antigen test and then get it at the earliest symptoms, right? And everyone.
Yeah, and you know how early you have to give Tamiflu to have an effect.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, why did you say you think monoclonals could be of use in hospitalized patients?
Thank you, Vincent. That was my question.
Basically, because of the experience with convalescent plasma. So it seems, based on some studies, that there is an effect even on severe cases in the late phase. So this should apply to monoclonals as well. But I'm not an expert in this.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy about convalescent plasma over here.
Oh, yes.
And,
but I'm not speaking about this political controversy.
Yeah,
there are clinical study data.
Well, as Daniel Griffin on Twiv has said, the problem with plasma is that it has clotting factors, which is not good to give. So monoclonal should be better because it will be purified. Yeah. All right. Rich, do you have anything else to ask?
I'm good.
Brianne?
My only question is slightly off topic almost. Given that so many people are listening to you now and you are working on your podcast, any sort of big changes that you feel, or how do you feel about how this has influenced, how science communication has sort of influenced what's going on in your life?
Well, science communication isn't a big thing in Germany. I started this, and I mean, it's of course taking a lot of time. At the same time, I'm not doing a lot of media work actually beyond this podcast. And I've now, so I had a summer break of 2 months where I didn't do anything. We are now starting over, and there is a colleague who is now doing the podcast with me, and we are just doing 1 episode per week. So it's my turn every 14 days. And that's actually not a big thing. So this is how my life can somehow, as a researcher, go back to normal, and how I can go back to writing up stuff we have in the pipeline and so on. This is necessary. I don't want to become a journalist or a TV professor or something. I'm on the TV very rare in Germany. Actually, I joined 3 talk shows during the whole time, and that was, I think, in March and April, all of them.
So we had a couple of letters. One from, before I let you go, I just wanted to tell you, one is from Jonas Binding, who's the founder of rapidtests.de.
Yeah, I saw his email, yeah.
Oh, that's right. He copied you. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we had one from Mary who said, I regard Christian Drosten as the foremost world expert on coronavirus. My one regret is that...
I wouldn't agree to that.
My one regret is that his writing and podcasts are not widely available in English. Perhaps we would be in a better place if they were. Christian, maybe you should come to Twiv once a month.
No.
And you could.
He's got enough to do.
Then it's in English, because there are a lot of English-speaking people out there.
This podcast is in German. It's very colloquial, but it can be translated.
And then we had one. Well, we had an email from Kyle, who is an American living in Germany, and he sent us all these statistics from the Robert Koch Institute. And one of the things he pointed out is that the death rate has gone down substantially in Germany, and he wanted to know what your thoughts on the reasons for that were.
He must be referring to the case fatality rate
Yes.
has gone down because more young people are infected now. It's now the students taking over.
I see. And the older people are staying out of the way, you think?
Yes, exactly.
Staying home. That's great.
There is such low incidence that some changes of behavior can do the job within families, right? People avoid seeing grandparents all of the time and so on.
I have another ridiculous question. In some past Twiv episodes, we have had some discussion of correct pronunciation of the name of the scientist Vincent mentioned with the institute who has the postulates.
Koch.
Yeah, Koch.
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 It's Koch.
Koch. Okay.
There you go.
So we have this German, which is difficult, but just think about an angry little rodent that it makes. It's how you practice it.
Perfect.
All right. Christian Drosten from the Institute of Virology, Charité Hospital, Berlin. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Christian. That was great.
Thank you. That was great.
Bye-bye.
See you.
One thing
I guess you didn't want to come on Twiv once a month, right?
No.
Too bad.
No, he was pretty clear about that.
Well,
Politely so.
I think
clear.
you should because there are more English speakers out there than German speakers, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll have to just pull up the slack, right?
Yeah, we'll just need to also, find some people who can translate.
I
Translating's hard.
appreciated his reference to discussions about ORF 8 as being potentially theological.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That was good.
That was
Pretty
good.
funny.